All right, hello and welcome back to another edition of Brothers-in-Law. I'm Mike Bradley. This is my co-host Corey Taylor. We are back with some good information. Give you some background. I'm a retired law enforcement officer from Northern California for the last 26 years, and Corey has been a Virginia State Trooper for 7 years and also retired Navy Chief Petty Officer. Right, Corey?
That's right.
Chief Petty Officer for about 23, 22 years?
21.
21 years. And we are here to give you some good info. We got another great video. I'm sure you've seen it on YouTube. A video of some real estate agent who got handcuffed and guns drawn down on him, the customer that he was showing the property to, and his son. And it's a really good video, and it's going to talk a lot about what we talk about on the show. So if you like this show, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And if you got any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to throw some comments down there on the video. We are live today, so we would love to see your comments as we're talking about this. If you got any questions, if you're fortunate enough to chime in on the show, and we will definitely be able to answer your questions right here on the spot. And we can talk about it. What's going on, Corey?
Oh man, I'm chilling, living the dream, bro.
Yeah.
Ready to talk about this here situation
Let's
we
do
got
it.
that took place.
Let's do it. So we got with the first video, right? Is the body cam from the officer, right? So we're gonna show that first, and then we're gonna talk about that. All right. Again, this is Michigan, right? Michigan. This happened about a few weeks ago. I think it was the 1st of August or something like that, right? A few weeks back.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks back.
Okay. All right.
Again, it's happened up in Michigan.
Okay. All right. We're gonna talk about what we always talk about: complying, answer questions, listening, and moving on. And that's what happened in this video. So let's talk about that. Let's look at it.
All right. Let me see. Let me make sure. We got 2 videos, so I need to make sure I'm starting the right one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, this one here. Okay, here we go, y'all.
Just turn around, put the transmitter back for me. And release your fingers like a friend. Back further. So back further. So now I want to do 7 of the ears on Sean. Floor inside. You come see where you step inside.
So this is the house that the real estate agent was showing.
Okay, so the price is
All right.
Okay. So a couple of things we might have missed in there is so we caught the last guy that they had called out of the home and handcuffed him, but there were 2 more before that. It was
a father and son. I think his son was like 15 years old. But give us a little background on it. The police were called to this house for a possible burglary. And so they get there. When it picked up from this officer's first body cam, they had already got the other 2 out, the father and son out. You know, what we're looking at here now is if the officers acted appropriately or not, or do you think they went too far by putting the gentleman in handcuffs? Now, when they first got there, they did what any reasonable officer would do. They realized that there are people in there. They had their guns drawn. You didn't see it in the video, but their guns were drawn. Keep in mind, the only thing they do have from this call was that it was a burglary, right? I didn't catch if they ever said how many people were actually inside the house. And so, they're not going to go in and rush in. They're not going to go up to the door and knock on the door. They're going to set a perimeter around the house, right? Somebody's going to watch the front. Somebody's going to watch the back door. And, somebody's going to be on the sides of the house, setting a perimeter. And just in case they are in there and they try to make a quick getaway, there's somebody there to apprehend them. All right. So they're detained. Go ahead, Mike.
Now, keep in mind, we're going to tell you as reasonable officers what would have normally taken place on a call like this. So that there's a little bit of history. There had just been a burglary at this house not too long before this call for service, and it's my understanding that the suspects, in that case, the suspect's vehicle was the same kind of vehicle that this real estate agent was driving at this particular time. So as a reasonable officer, in my mind, when I get that call, I'll be a little bit higher on alert because I got a neighbor who is calling the police, telling me that they believe someone is burglarizing this home. So as officers, in our mind, we are already thinking about what we are going to do when we get there. Corey, you had already mentioned, first thing you're going to do is set up a perimeter. There's a procedure, a process of this kind of call that we're going to complete. You're going to set up a perimeter. You're going to get to the scene. Officers are going to arrive on the scene. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5 officers. The number of officers doesn't make a difference. It's just a process of how we're going to make this contact. So keep in mind, officers are going to this would be considered a hot call of what has been reported to them as a burglary. So no matter what color the suspect is or anything like that, it's a hot call. I'm already responding to this call with a higher level of sense, right? To figure out what we're going to do here. So we get on scene. It's more like you said, Corey, you see people at the house already, right? We're going to call people out one at a time or wherever they are. We're going to have them turn around, walk them back tactfully. The way if what you didn't see in the video for the first two, at least, they had them turn around so they can see what's in their waistband. They had them walk backwards, walk towards the officers. They were all three handcuffed and all three placed in the car. Now, that's a procedure that a normal, reasonable officer would do. That is a proper way of how you handle a hot call for service like this. You see what I'm saying? And to keep everybody safe, that's why people were handcuffed, people were secured in the car, because we have not yet confirmed the legitimacy of the people that are on scene.
Right. And so now I think I'm going to play the last portion of that video again, the last maybe 30 or so seconds, because I want the audience to hear that conversation the officer and the real estate agent were having. He's basically was letting them know that, hey, we're sorry for the confusion or whatnot. Give me a second, y'all, and I'm going to throw that back up on there.
While you're doing that, Corey, for our viewers, just keep in mind, up to this point, that is a normal procedure that officers would do on this kind of call. Just pull someone out of the house, handcuffing them and securing them, whether it's on the curbside or whether it's in the car. It might be uncomfortable to go through something like that, but that is normal procedure for any reasonable officer to respond to this type of call, because we have to make sure, without a doubt, that this is who you are, who you say you are. That's all that is. There's no racial intent that I would have. Obviously, that seems normal to me as a reasonable officer, how they did this.
All right, let me fast forward here to that part. Oh, man. I think that's it right there. See, now the real estate agent is just verifying to the officer, hey, yeah, I am the real estate agent. They're going to go through this process because they have to make sure he is who he is. And see, now he's going to release him.
Yeah. Yeah. Now they've confirmed that, this is a real estate agent, clear as day. He's got every right to be here. This is not a burglary. Now they're going to go through and let's undo what we've done up to this point.
Right.
And that's what they're doing now, uncuffing everybody, And then what I also like is how they explained their actions to these three individuals of why they did what they did.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's all normal procedure, right? There's a difference between being detained and being arrested. These gentlemen were being detained for administrative purposes for right this moment because the officers have to do their investigation. They need to verify this man's story. And the man did that because he said, hey, I'm a real estate agent. He had his credentials. He said, yeah, I can show you. I have the means to open the lockbox. The officer walked him over there. He opened it up. Done deal. Now, the next video we're going to show you, it seems as though this real estate agent kind of flips the script on everything, right? He said to the officer towards the end there, he said, when the officer apologized to him for this, the real estate agent comes back and says, no problem. You just doing what you got to do. Right. So to me, that I take that as the man understood, hey, it was some type of miscommunication. Somebody called him something that wasn't really true. He understood that the officers had to do their investigation to determine that he wasn't it. So as far as the CALM acronym goes, the man was, and the other, the potential buyer and the buyer's son, everybody was doing textbook, staying calm, doing what they were supposed to do. So on this next video, let me go ahead and set this one up. You're going to see like what he says now to the media of what happened. And then you just saw the video of what happened. To me, I was like, dude, really? You had to make this about race when it clearly had nothing to do with race? You'll see. Hold on. I'm going to go ahead and set this up. Right. Here we go. And he's being interviewed by me. So we'll commentate. We'll make our remarks after the video. So Here we go.
Surround a house after a 911 call from a neighbor reporting a break-in.
We know you're inside. Come on with your hands in the air doing now.
It sounds like it's going to be a B&E in progress of an unoccupied dwelling. They're currently inside the house.
But the people inside were not burglars. Far from it. They were a realtor, his client, and the client's son.
There was what felt to me a firing squad.
It happened in Michigan. Police ordered everyone out of the house. Roy Thorne walked out first.
I'm preparing myself for this to go really bad. I prepared myself to get shot in my mind.
He said his sole concern was protecting his son, Sammy.
My thought was, if they get me first, they might just stop shooting them. They won't get him.
Then the realtor, Eric Brown, emerges. He is also handcuffed. He informs the officer they can find his real estate license inside his wallet.
That's my license.
When 15-year-old Sammy exits the house, he is also handcuffed. The realtor shows officers he's able to open the house with an app on his cell phone. Only then is he uncuffed.
Sorry for the inconvenience. They did not give us the opportunity to explain ourselves until we were in handcuffs.
Once all three were out of handcuffs, the officers explained the previous week, they'd arrested a burglar at the same house who drove a similar car.
I do apologize.
Do you believe that you were all profiled because of your race?
I think it has something to do with it.
In my opinion, there's only one thing we could have done differently, but it's physically impossible, and that's to take our skin off.
Come on with your hands in the air, do it now!
Police department says in the Twitter review concluded race played no role in the officer's actions. Meantime, the police chief is offering to meet with the realtor. For his part, the would-be purchaser was so shaken by the incident, he's put his home buying plans on hold.
Okay. Now, here's a, but
hold on. This right here, man, got my hair all twist. He said it felt like a firing squad.
Okay.
Went out there. I like, man, really, come on. Now you are making what he was doing was taking everybody else's experience and what he saw on the media and trying to make it his reality.
Well,
it was nothing like that. I mean, these officers didn't even know what color they were. They didn't even see any. All they knew was that they were in the house. They didn't know who they were because descriptions weren't even given out. They just said that the occupants were inside the house.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna give you a little different twist, though. That's not really a twist, but I'm gonna look at it like this: this real estate agent, this kid, and this father. Okay, I think I agree with you in the sense I think they feel the way they feel because of this narrative that's been pushed in the media that has caused people to be in fear of things that they really shouldn't be in fear of. They got to understand these officers were clearly responding to what I explained earlier as a hot call, right? Hot call of people in the house being burglarized. That's what these individual citizens don't know is how police will respond to something like that. You see what I'm saying? And I think if citizens were educated as to the procedures of how police do certain things and why they do them, they would have a little better understanding of why they had guns drawn on them. You see what I'm saying? In the citizens' mind, they just were in there showing a house to a customer, and all of a sudden, the police are outside. They're calling them out the house with guns drawn. And they probably never had guns drawn on them before. And you couple that with what they've been seeing in the media that has been pushing this false narrative of fear by the police, right? And you couple that with all that emotion that they got going on, they're going to feel pretty terrified, probably. Okay, I think that's reasonable for them to feel that way.
Well, I'm not saying you shouldn't feel, terrified.
Okay.
You can feel terrified and not have to throw race into it.
I understand that. The fact that they threw race in, I'm just trying to say the fact that they threw race in it, though, is based on what they've been seeing in the media that has formed this false perception. You see what I'm saying? And we know race didn't have nothing to do with that. As far as the police,
like Stacey said, they told them why, explained to them what they did and why they did it. Thank you for the comment, Stacey. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, Megan, I see you, Meg. Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, what's up, Meg? That's the problem I have. That's one, and then two, you're gonna say that you had to prepare yourself to get shot. Every situation that officers are involved in with Black people does not end in somebody getting shot. You might want to go back and look at these previous videos and get a good look at why these individuals got shot. If you stand calm or you're complying, you're answering questions, you're listening like these gentlemen did here, you're not going to get shot.
True.
You're not going to get shot.
And I do want to applaud these three citizens because, like you said, they complied. even though they knew they weren't doing anything wrong, they still complied with all the orders that the officers were giving them. They got handcuffed, secured in the back of the car. There was no fighting. There was no resisting. There was not even any arguing there was no wait. There was none of that going on. They complied and followed through with what these officers were directing them to do, which is what we strongly encourage citizens. Even if you know you ain't doing anything wrong.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It's very important that you follow through. We're going to figure it out. But keep in mind, them handcuffing you, guns drawn on you, and placing you in the back of the car in this case was a necessary thing. It's something that we train to do. That is a common response to this type of call in the eyes of the officer. So keep that in mind. That's what the citizens, that's the element that they miss. They don't understand. This is a live call, burglary in progress, felony crime, people inside a house. As an officer, we're thinking that we're going to respond to that way. You see what I'm saying?
Also keep in mind too, when officers arrive on scenes, on any scene, whether it be a B&E in progress or breaking and entering, or a shooting or a car crash, or no matter what it is, the officers are going to do. They're wanting to make the scene safe. 2, they're going to detain anybody that needs to be detained. Once all those elements are in place, and they start their investigation, then they'll let you know what's going on, like they did for the gentleman. Once they got him in handcuffs, the realtor, they told him, hey, we've been getting called by the neighbors that there was a break and entering going on. You guys were breaking into the place, right? So he told them, and then after the fact, they all were handcuffed and they all were gathered around and they were telling them again. And the officers apologized again, right? That's how it happened.
That's necessary. That's fine.
Yeah, that doesn't make it a racial incident.
No.
If I had rolled up on a scene like that, you guarantee I'd have had my gun drawn to, giving commands, get out the vehicle. I'm getting ready to say vehicle, but come out of the house, listen to me, do what I tell you to do. Same thing if I were getting you out of a vehicle, right? I don't know what color you are until I get you out the car. Right?
And
so
it doesn't matter what color you are.
House.
Right. And it doesn't matter what color you are. If I'm going to that kind of call, I'm going to respond that way until I know otherwise. You see what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, you can. When you look at that video, when the officers are handcuffing them, they're following instructions. They all get secured and handcuffed, and then they figure out what they're doing there. But you got to understand the totality of the circumstances too. This neighbor, if they were racially profiled, like we said earlier before, Corey, it wasn't by the police. Okay, no. The police were doing a standard, regular, normal response for something like that.
Procedures.
If you feel uncomfortable that the officers had their guns drawn on you, I understand that. You should be uncomfortable for that. Anybody would be uncomfortable with a gun pointed at you. But I just want citizens to understand, when we are responding to, in our mind, a hot call for service with burglary in progress with suspects inside a home, that is a normal, typical response that officers are going to do until we figure out otherwise. That's why it's important for you to comply. Right. Don't be argumentative and say, I'm the real estate. I know you. Wait. No, you got to still comply and follow through what those officers direct me to do.
And I like, Megan's comment here. She's right. The officers did their jobs, and so did the citizens. Don't make the police look bad when they did everything right. Exactly. I mean, that's what it's all about, man. If they did something right, let's acknowledge that. And of course, if they did something wrong, we're going to acknowledge that as well. There's no reason to make it a racial incident, and it doesn't have to be that way. Like you said about the neighbor calling it in, how did we not know that she is a friend of the house they went in, and she's just looking out for her. And she knows, like you said, there was been break-ins throughout the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so what do you want neighbors not to look out for you anymore? Hey, yeah, I saw, but I didn't want to see nothing. I didn't want to, make it seem like I'm a racist or something other because I called the cops because somebody was just going in your house. Now, again, could the realtor had done something differently in this case? Could he had some type of identifying markings on his vehicle, ID, the business magnets you can get made up with, whatever real estate company you're representing? Have that on the car. So as she looked out the window and said, "Oh, what car is that?" and she sees, Remax or Century 21, whatever real estate agent, she sees that on the door. Maybe she wouldn't have called the police.
Yeah, that's true. When I saw them on the video, the real estate agent was dressed like the next dude off the street,
right.
And which is, I don't know if that's typical in that area for real estate agents to look that way as far as their dress is concerned. But out here, at least out here in California, when I typically see a real estate agent showing a home to a customer, that real estate agent is dressed what I would consider appropriately, a shirt and tie, a suit on, or they're dressed in a professional way that clearly you can see that this is a real estate agent showing a home. Like you said, Corey, they got something on their car that shows what real estate company they're from. I mean, they're on the job, so they're dressed a certain way. This real estate agent, maybe they dress like that. I don't know. In that area, in that part of the country, I don't know. Maybe they dress like a t-shirt and jeans, like some regular dude off the street. That's my opinion.
I mean, around here, I mean, they're gonna dress in business casual attire.
Right.
Was he in business casual attire? I mean, that's probably gonna be somebody.
And I'm not saying that there's something wrong with that.
No, not saying nothing wrong with it, but I'm saying that there are things that he could have done himself to alleviate that type of problem.
Yeah, right? I just want people to think a little bit outside the box on that and say, if we were to try to address this from the very beginning of this call, starting with the person who called the police in the first place, I can understand some reasoning behind someone feeling the need to call the police. If you got three guys in a house, when you see them pull up, the car was similar to the car that matched the suspect's car from like a week ago when the house was burglarized from that suspect. You see what I'm saying? So I can see the reasoning why someone would call the police when you look at the totality of the circumstances. Are there some calls where people will call because the person is black? Probably. I'm not sure that you can say that in this particular incident. I think that's speculation if you try to use race in this incident to say the cops wouldn't have responded that way if they weren't black. I don't think you would say that in this incident.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I don't like to speculate on race issues like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how an officer would respond to that. And again, me and Corey, you and I would be a reasonable officer. Clearly, we ain't responding to nothing based off of race, unless it's just a description of somebody. See what I'm saying? And we're telling you that, yeah, this is a normal way police would respond to this type of call.
Yeah. Yeah, there was no reason to take it that far as he did. And I say the last problem I had with the realtor, what he said was, the only thing he think that he could have possibly done differently was remove his skin color. That right there, I mean, come on, you knew exactly what the deal was. They weren't doing anything that no normal police officer would have done. And I just take that as man, come on, how are we gonna make progress when you keep pulling us back down by making comments like like that. And that's just my own personal opinion. You know, if it's racial, let's call it racial. But if the police are just doing their job, like this case here, you know, then they're doing their job. It has nothing to do with it. Now, again, I can tell you, if it was all black officers doing the same thing, then what would he have said?
Good point. I don't know. We don't know that. We have to
don't
speculate
know,
on that too. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just curious, like, you know, y'all help me out, folks. Understand how are we going to get anywhere if we keep throwing race into everything, and it doesn't necessarily always have to do with race. Hold on, we got a comment here from what did Megan say?
Yeah, she says they dress more casual here in unmarked cars, so it's understandable why the call was made, no matter what color they were. And I hear you, Meg. And yeah, and it is understandable because if you're not used to seeing a real estate agent dressed that way, you might think this is just some dude off the street going into some house. You know, there's nothing there that in this particular situation. There's nothing there that made someone say that clearly looked like a real estate agent. You see what I'm saying? And I say that based off of how he was dressed, no markings on the car, you know, things like that. You see what I'm saying? You don't know, especially if the house was burglarized last week.
Right. And I mean, I'm not sure what he was trying to gain out of this. I mean, did he want people to feel sorry for him for what he was saying? You know, is this?
Well,
what was the? I mean, it's neither here nor there, but you know, we're trying to progress and move forward as a nation. We got enough problems going on in society as it is, right? And you keep throwing this race card into it, and with policing, and we're trying to make progression in it, but you know, when we can just make comments like this, you're pulling us backwards, and that's just my opinion. I'm gonna go to my grave with that opinion.
I hear you, but you know I gotta play devil's advocate.
Well, you can play it. I mean, that ain't gonna change my
way of thinking. I hear what you're saying. I agree with what you are saying, with the caveat that based on what the media has portrayed on police officers, I can understand why citizens like these three would feel the way they do and look at the way they do. Number one, because they have no idea what a standard what should I say? A standard procedure for an officer responding to this type of call would be. They have no idea that officers are going to show up with their guns drawn for something like this. You see what I'm saying? They don't even know what the call for service was about. Like I said, all they know is these officers showed up with guns drawn, ordering them out the house. And they feel this way because of the lack of knowledge that they have. You see what I'm saying? Now, once the knowledge was given to them and they were shown that, listen, sir, this is why we responded this way. This is why we had guns drawn on you. This is why we secured you in the back of our car so that we can figure out what's going on. Now, once they were explained that, then they shouldn't have an opinion of, I think we were only treated this way because we were black. I do agree with you on that. They shouldn't feel that way because they were explained what the response was, why the response was what it was. You see what I'm saying?
That's the question. So why twist your story around to make it feel like, you know, you were totally violated?
Yeah, I understand that. I understand
that. You weren't. Right?
If you're still making it a racial issue, even after you were explained about the response, you know, even though they explained the response to you, and you turn around and you still want to make it a racial issue, I think that's unnecessary speculation. Because, like I said before, if you were racially profiled, it wasn't by the police who responded to the call. It would be by the reporting party. And even then, you're speculating because there are circumstances that would cause someone to probably call the police.
Right.
Now, that maybe they think that, you know, once they were, although they were complying and answering questions and being detained with handcuffs, they felt that response would have been different if they were
All
a different people. But we're here to tell them, no, that response wouldn't have been different. That's a normal response.
And so, okay, to Megan's point, she says definitely looking for sympathy. It's sad. We have to get to a place where we behave appropriately and trust the process if we have done nothing wrong. And I got a short little story with that, right? So I was stationed in California, and buddy of mine, he had just got his tax returns done, and he was like, "Hey man, Corey, come with me, go get my tax returns." Like, all right. Now he borrowed a young lady's car off the ship, and we went to go pick up his tax returns. Well, you know, back then we was what, 20, I think like 21, 22 years old, whatever. So you know us, you know,
The good old days.
we was in East Oakland, California. We stopped at a little spot, got a little 40 ounces, and we cruising around. He just got his nice little, you know, check.
That's the good old days right there.
And so he makes a couple dips and turns, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? He's like, I don't know, 5-0 behind us. I was like, oh shoot. So you know, we put the bid down and everything, and next thing I know, we get pulled over. Whoop whoop. We get pulled over, and I was like, oh shoot. I like, Mikey, what you do? Not you, Mike. Another Mike. I was like, oh shoot, what you do? Man, they got out. They had the helicopter flying over us and everything. Man, they had the guns drawn. I was like, oh shit, what's going on? What's going on?
Well, East Oakland is not crime too.
The point being is, and check this out. Mike was white, and I'm black. They got us out the car. They handcuffed us. They sat us on the curb. Hey man, I ain't say nothing. And then they finally came around. They said, "Hey man, we got reports that you know this car was stolen." Now, I started talking. I was like, "Oh no, nah, we just came from the ship. Blah blah blah. This car belonged to a girl on the ship. Nah." And you know, he told the story and everything, and it's like they verified the story. Hey, yeah, we were in the Navy. Gave him a timeline of where we were, so you know, collaborate our stories, and they let us go. Now I'm stuck in the middle of the hood. Now Mikey, he was a knucklehead, so he had I think a warrant out for something for him, so they took him on down to the precinct. I'm left in the middle of the hood all by myself in East Oakland. I'm like, man, what in the world? But you know what?
Well, you made it out the hood.
We stayed calm.
Yeah.
And I let them do their job. And once they told me what the problem was, hey, shoot, look here, man. Let me tell you what happened. What you want to know. But you know, that's how, like Megan said, you have to let things play out, folks. And that's the bottom line. The officers are going to tell you why, or at least tell you what's going on, why they're doing what they're doing. At some point, it'll get to that point. They're going to share with you, hey, this is why we detain you. And again, there is a difference between being detained for administrative purpose and being arrested. Just because you have handcuffs on you does not mean you're arrested, right? Sure. Until they place you under arrest and what they're charging you with, you are detained. That it was part of our policy procedures that we must tell you that you are detained for administrative purposes. You are not under arrest. So they should be letting you know that right up front. And once they're telling you detained, you should be at ease, right? Knowing that why they got you handcuffed is for your and their safety, right?
Right.
I
think of it as they don't know you and you don't know them. So they're dealing with you. They're having to deal with you. So they want to feel safe too. And to do that, they're going to cuff you. Okay. Because they're dealing with you and they don't know who you are. You could be some violent suspect for all they know. They don't know. Okay. So as an officer, I'm putting some cuffs on you just to make sure you ain't trying to jump on me and I ain't got to do nothing more to you. You see what I'm saying? Right. And I always explain myself when I'm handcuffing someone for detention or something like that. When I've done that, I would always explain to them, this is why you're being detained. I would use that word. And when I'm getting ready to arrest someone, once that detention turns into an arrest, then I'm going to specifically say you are now under arrest. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll read you your rights. If I'm going to ask you some questions, I'll read you your rights. I may not read you your rights at that point, but at some point before I conduct an interview with you, I'm going to read you your rights. So that's another misconception folks have, that they think that once you're arrested, immediately we're supposed to read you your rights. No, not necessarily. I don't really ain't got to read your rights unless I'm getting ready to ask you some questions.
Right.
If I ain't getting ready to interview you, I don't need to read you your rights. You see what I'm saying?
If I don't need
unless you're a juvenile, now that might change a little different. That might be a little different.
Juveniles. Juveniles is a whole different ball game. Right. But yeah, I mean, if I'm not going to ask you any questions, you know, now for always GP to always cover your 6, though, I mean, I would read your Miranda rights, especially in a DUI. Did you read your Miranda rights? Yep, sure did.
Oh yeah, that's a different, different ball game right there too.
But so let us know what y'all think of this video. Like, share, and subscribe to us. Leave a comment down below.
And again, just to go over it again, basically, is the number one thing these 3 individuals did that was the best thing is comply. They complied with every little thing those officers asked them to do. Now, had they not done that, this could have been a different outcome, right? They could have opened themselves up to a whole different set of circumstances if they did not comply, you know? So that's the number one biggest thing that happened in this scenario is they complied.
Yeah. Right? So what's the takeaway from this? Hey, just follow the officer's command. Stay calm.
Even if you feel
just stay calm, comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. And you see that they got to move on, right?
They got to move on.
Once everything was hashed out of what was going on, what transpired, they got to move on. And that is always your end objective, is to be able to move on. So again, man, hit that like, share, and subscribe button for us, y'all. Share this out to everyone you know. And we'll be back next week, same time. If this works good for y'all, 8 o'clock, we'll be back. And tell your family, friends to jump on, man, because I think this is very, very beneficial to everyone, and we get to have these type of discussions. Megan, we truly thank you for your comments, and Stacey, we thank you for your comments as well, and other people who are logged on but just not in the chat. We thank you. So please like, share, and subscribe. Let's get this out there. Let's have this conversation, y'all. I know you know somebody that would like to have this conversation. Tell them to jump on next Thursday, 8 o'clock. Mike and I will be back to give you some more and keep it interesting. So without any further words from myself, Mike, you got any last few words?
No, that's it.
All right. Hey, share this out, like it, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber to this. And Mike and I, we will see y'all next week. God bless and have a beautiful weekend.
Deuces.